When you're talking about building a relationship that'll go the miles, such as marriage, the most important thing that you're going to learn in any kind of pre-engagement or engagement class that the two of you take is the essence of change. When we're talking about change, I'm talking about how well the two of you work things out, how well the two of you individually are willing to change to make life better for the relationship, which is ultimately going to affect your partner. Because if a couple doesn't have that fluidity or that flexibility, if they jump to the other to blame, or they talk about, their rights and what they learned and their values, basically they're putting roadblocks up to change. And roadblocks in marriage to individual change are what will keep a marriage stagnant, miserable, and it won't be able to grow. The couple will not feel happy who are in this type of marriage. So I want to talk a little bit about the roadblocks to change. This is on a very personal level. And although I want you to see this video and share it with your partner, especially if change and feeling like the two of you can work through hardships that come up in marriage is something you're nervous about, share it. And then instead of telling them the area they need to work on the areas, focus on the areas that you need to do better. Because let's say the worst case scenario, your partner doesn't change at all. The relationship changes when you change. One person who changes becomes a catalyst for the whole relationship. It's like that in machinery. It's like that in most things in life. It's really like that in relationships. So the first roadblock to change is denial. When you deny or you put up your hand, no, enough, that isn't the way it was, or you get defensive, these are all forms of denial. And denial happens when you are so fragile of ego that you're afraid of hearing honest, transparent feedback is going to crumple you. It won't crumple you. In fact, if you keep open and you're able to take criticism, you can make the changes you need to make. Your partner is, in a way, a teacher of yours. And so if they're able to see things that maybe you don't want to face, step up to the plate and listen to them and be willing to start making some of these changes you have been in denial about making. Secondly, an inability to listen. If you are constantly tuning out, not paying attention, not listening, this is the biggest way of basically resisting change. And someone will put up with it for a while, but they won't put up with it forever. So open yourself up. Someone who has a growth mindset, who is secure, who feels good about themselves, who feels capable of making changes, will be a good listener. The two go hand in hand, because the more you listen, the more power you have, the more personal energy you have to make the changes within you that are not only going to improve your situation, but they're going to improve the situation of the relationship. Then there's those people who just have a closed mindset, an unwillingness to change. They were raised by those kinds of people as well. They like only certain black and white ideas. They don't understand gray parts of life. They think the man this, the woman that. They have very role-defined things. They're harder to get along with because they also don't listen. They also have to use a fair amount of denial. They won't listen to facts because the facts are not the facts unless they fit in with their personal perspective. And this is very dangerous to relationships. If you get in a relationship with someone like that, you can expect to live a very superficial relationship, because the depth of it, the emotional intimacy, the vulnerability, all the growth happens when each partner decides, I am not, the person before you is not going to be the person you see in 5 years, because I'm going to keep evolving, I'm going to keep growing, I'm interested in life. I'm curious in us. I'm excited about the ways we're each going to change personally, professionally, and together as a couple. Those kind of partners are going to have a fantastic relationship and marriage, because the relationship is never going to be dull. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of security in it, and it's going to thrive. The next one, external and internal motivation. If you have external motivation, you're looking at a goal. I'm going to run a 100-mile race, or I'm going to lose 10 pounds by this time. Those are all great ways to stay motivated. You can use those in your relationship. We're going to build a house. In 2 years, we'll have a house, and you can be up every morning working on that house. However, the best motivators are inside. I was inspired by a documentary. This guy became an incredible dad. He didn't necessarily have a good dad mentor, but he decided he wanted that for his children. He was going to give his children the dad he never had. That guy is going to make big changes, compared to someone who says, for the next 100 days, I'm going to be the best dad I can, or whatever. I'm not saying that external motivators don't work. They do work. They're fantastic. I use them all the time, but they're for very self-disciplined people. And once the goal is attached, then you're looking again. Whereas something internal that you deem worthy, inspiring, you acknowledge it, you're self-aware, and you're going to go for it, those are probably going to be better because they don't have a deadline. And the last one is God-inspired. After my aneurysm, I was totally God-inspired. I realized that I put the limits on my life, that I can give more, that compassion was severely lacking on my end in my life. Once I had that experience and God brought me through that, He had inspired me, had changed me. I was a completely different person than what I was the day before that aneurysm happened. These God-inspired moments happen to us. We must be awake. We must realize what's happening, but when they happen, there's no going back. Change is inevitable with God, with faith, with internal motivation. You cannot deny change. Things change. But remember, you change, you take it upon yourself to change, you have the control to change, and then the relationship will change. Might not change in the way you initially would like it, with both people being motivated at the same time. However, it will change. If you keep doing the same thing you do every day, your marriage will not get better. And if you're in a stagnant place, it will continue to be stagnant. You have to make a committed, concerted effort, and you must stick with it. But change is not to fear. It is the way through life, and it's a really fantastic, healthy way through life. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if it's not, or even if you are already a subscriber, I just want to tell you thank you so much for listening and sharing.